is Ed Parker Jr. My father, Ed Parker Sr., was one of the pioneers of martial arts in the United States. He was not only known for creating the martial arts system called American Kempo, but he was also influential in Hollywood with the promotion of martial arts in the United States and in the world. He he was one of the first international published martial arts authors, which got him a tremendous amount of recognizability at a very early age. His book was, he had a book that he published called Secrets of Chinese Karate, and it was published in, I think, 14 different languages and distributed all over the world, and it was just a great vehicle for him to be known and be exposed. And he started a tournament back in 1964 to kind of help bring, you know, the martial arts together, even at the time back then. And he had a friend that sought him out at the time, and or a guy that sought him out at the time that he eventually became friends with, by the name of Bruce Lee. And he introduced Bruce Lee to his first tournament back in 1964 in Long Beach, California. And during that time period, he wanted to make sure he filmed it. So he filmed Bruce Lee doing a demonstration at his tournament. And he turned that film over to one of his producer friends, which eventually wound up getting Bruce Lee the role as Kato in the Green Hornet series. My father, because of his exposure to Hollywood, was introduced to other people such as Elvis Presley. He was giving a demonstration at the Beverly Hills Wilshire in 1961. And at the end of his demonstration, a man comes from the back of the room forward to talk to him. He said, I don't know if you know who I am, but my name is Elvis Presley. And I just was really impressed with your style of doing martial arts, and I'd like to know more from you. And it started off a relationship, a friendship that lasted, you know, to the passing of Elvis. Elvis depended upon my father to give him some of his black belts as bodyguards. When Elvis was, a lot of people had threatened him and stuff because of his stature and his fame, and he needed, because of the closest friendship with my dad, he always said, you know, when you can break away from your business, would you come down and go on tour with me? So my dad did go on tour with Elvis a number of times, and he's just had a long relationship, and it was just Elvis came to our house a number of times, and not only did that happen, but you know, my father was involved in a lot of the choreography of a lot of shows, the Pink Panther series back in the day. He was in that, and during that tournament I was talking about in 1964, that tournament actually had grown to the point where we had over 6,000 competitors, and to date I don't think we've ever had an event with 6,000 competitors. It was an amazing time, and to see an ocean of pajamas in this big arena was amazing. And he's definitely a pioneer and definitely opened a lot of doors, and his legacy is still strong. There's a lot of people who still teach his art or a flavor of his art all these years later. And my job was to help, you know, because of my involvement in martial arts since birth, I take upon more of a historical role, and I travel the planet. I teach people about the history of martial arts, the beginning of martial arts in the past 50 years. Also, I teach myself. I've been fortunate enough to teach in 14 countries, about 47 states I think I've taught in. Taught over 150,000 people in my career. But mostly my passion in my life is art. I'm an illustrator, a professional illustrator. I've done professional illustrations for Hollywood, for motion picture posters, and for album covers, different things like that. And a number of years ago I decided to quit living a dual life, and I put my illustrations into the martial arts industry. And as you saw earlier, I have a number of martial arts certificates that I've designed for black belts, lower belts. And the point is that I'm a very passionate person about what I believe in. And I believe that when somebody puts a 4 or 5 year stretch into martial arts, because martial arts is a luxury, nobody has to take it. And because they don't have to take it, to get somebody to actually show up and practice afterwards, you know, it requires a lot of dedication and passion. And I think that that reward should be equaled. And so I've come up with a series of certificates that I hand illustrate with the express purpose of making somebody feel very, you know, honored about the accomplishment that they've had. And I find it to be quite rewarding. We've already distributed over 1 million certificates around the planet, and we definitely want to make sure that, at least for me, I believe that in myself. I'm sure people have seen that movie Troy, and there's a scene where Brad Pitt plays a character named Achilles, and in there, his mother tells him, if you don't go to Troy and fight, you won't be remembered. And to me, I think a lot of us, we want to be remembered. We want to make a difference on this planet. Mine is that I want to live past the grave, but I want it to live through my art. And I want it to live, because I care about my art and I care about the martial arts industry, I want it to exist within that. And so that when people, when I'm dead and gone, my grandchildren can say, yeah, my grandfather did that. As my kids and my grandkids are happy about their grandfather, my dad, I want my grandkids to be proud of what I've done. One of the luxuries growing up, in the Parker household with Ed Parker being friends with Bruce Lee, and that was before Bruce actually showed up in the movie theater, so he came and he trained with my dad, or I don't know if he specifically trained, but they did work out together. They did share ideas and concepts, and I know that both my dad and Bruce are very notorious for being always in a constant state of wonderment and discovery. They just were just like little kids, just enthralled with the different ideas of motion and the effectiveness of the body and so on and so forth. And my dad did work out with Bruce, and they always talked about different types of philosophies. And my dad saw that he understood the science of motion. A lot of times the Chinese had talked about the arts, but they'd always say that's the mysticism of the art, or that's Qi. And Bruce was more of a forward thinker than that, and he said it's not about mysticism, it's actually about science and logic and reason. And he looked at things, and at the time when my father saw some of the things he taught a thing that was now is a big deal about his, looking back, his 1-inch punch. To see that demonstration now wouldn't be that exciting, but back then it was just magical. Everybody was just in awe of seeing a man who sat there with his hand relaxed and then hits an individual, and the guy sends him back several feet back, and it was amazing to see it.